If you are interested in earning your money through dividends, you came to the right place. Welcome back to the channel. This is week 2 of our investing $800 into all of the weekly paying dividend ETFs, new and old. So we're just going to do a breakdown of the account. We're going to go over how the account is doing, the money made, the money lost. We're going to go over each position in the account, talk about it a little bit, just give it a little bit of an update, check the last couple of trading days since the last video, and then we'll do our dividend reveal at the end. So I've been tracking all the dividends. I have it in a spreadsheet that I'll pull up, and we have some really cool data on there. So before I get into all of the fun details in this account, don't forget to like the video if you're interested in this type of content. It also helps me out a ton. We did finally surpass 3,000 subscribers, which is just amazing. I can't even believe it. And so our next step, I guess, is 4,000. So I appreciate you guys. Again, if you're interested, subscribe. If you want to see updates on this account, I'm going to keep putting out weekly videos because that's what most people ask for in the comments. And we'll continue to track this. They're really fun to make, and it's really cool to see this account grow, even though it has only been 2 weeks. So what we're going to do now, we'll jump into each of the securities in the account, go over the P and L for the account total. So stick around. Let's get right into it. So the account total assets, $812.23. This puts our cumulative P&L at $8.94. And our yield in simple format, 1.99. I don't even know what this means, to be honest. I guess we've made 1.99%. Does that math add up? Not really. We have 93% in ETFs and 7% in cash. And so there's a few things that I'm interested in, some things that are quirky with Moomoo that I want to talk about. But first, we'll go over what we're going to cover. We're going to go over our Defiance ETFs, and then we'll cover our YieldMax ETFs, and then we'll finish up with the RoundHill, which I think are probably everybody's favorite, although the YieldMaxes have been surprising me for sure. Now, what we're going to look at each, we're going to look at the return since the last video, so how it's performed roughly in the last 5 days. We're going to check the last dividend payment of each, and then again, I have a spreadsheet that kind of details that in a better format. And then we'll see how they've performed over the last year, because they have been doing really well, and we'll track the dividends and such as well. So starting with IWMY, the Defiance Russell 2000 ETF, their average cost for us is $34.61. The current price, they have it as $34.71. And the unrealized P&L for us percentage-wise is 30%. Now, remember, I tried to buy close to $100, but Moomoo does not allow the, what am I thinking of? Fractional trading on these ETFs. So kind of a downside, but I tried to get as close to 100. So the unrealized P&L percentage is more important than the total position gain or loss, money-wise, because some are worth $105 and the low end are $84. So that being said, let's jump into IWMY. We can see we are up on this one, like I said in the previous screen. We're not up by a whole lot, just about 10 cents, and we purchased 3 shares, so roughly 30 cents. Now, they did pay out a nice dividend of 42 cents. And so we'll go over how much money the account made just off of this one. But I am definitely impressed by this. And then also, if we jump to the 1 year, this thing has been trading really, really well. Now, starting at a low of 27.60, 27.70, all the way up to 34.70 is pretty phenomenal. I know a lot of us have a fear with NAV erosion, and that's definitely something to think about. It's a factor with these ETFs. If you start seeing a lot of NAV erosion, in my opinion, it's not worth holding unless you have it calculated out in a way that you're comfortable with. And by that, I mean you know what you're going to probably lose in NAV erosion, and you're still going to be happy with your gains on top of that. But I'm not willing to do all of that work at this point. So I'm going to keep holding these for as long as they continue to make money and as long as the channel seems to enjoy it. So we can see exactly... This one's been doing well. The dividends are finally out. We didn't get a dividend last week. This is the first week of dividends, so I am pumped to see the Defiance ETFs paying out. But IWMY has been a success. We are up on the week, and I'm happy about that. So we can actually see this. It is live updating. That's what's going on. I've been trying to make this video and trying to figure out the numbers have been changing because the after hours markets are supposed to be closed, but we are still seeing a drop. We're down $3 today. When I first started filming, we were down $1. So I'll try and keep this as accurate as can be. Next, we have QQQY, which is currently, we click on it, that should update it. We can see we had a market value, purchase value of $102.84. We are down. We bought it at $34.37, and it's currently trading at $34.28. 34.22. It's dropping even lower than that. So when we jump to we'll jump to the 1 month chart. Their dividend on the 10th as well, they paid out 34.5 cents per share, which is great. But this one is down. It's down in our account. We can see our purchase price, like I said, 37, and currently we're at 34.20. So a bit of a drop. Hopefully it doesn't continue to drop. We might see a little bit of a pullback. The market for me was sideways today, but I didn't check too much into the indexes to see what they're all doing. But I'm still impressed with QQQY overall. It dropped at its inception by quite a bit, down to just under $27, and we're back up to $34. So I'm not really seeing the NAV erosion. And this chart looks a little bit rough, but it looks a lot more similar to a normal trading chart. You have some ups and downs. It's not the consistent drops that we've seen with other funds that have really bad NAV erosion. So I am excited to see that. And I'm curious to see how this one performs. Oh, I never even pointed it out on the last one, but I'll go back to IWMY. But for QQQY, we can see the dividend yield of 88%, assets under management of 205 million, which is phenomenal. So no complaints there. When we go back into IWMY, their yield is over 100% according to them, and their AUM is much lower at 133 million, which is something to know. AUM is assets under management. For those of you that don't know, I might have already said that, but that's an important metric that you'll want to learn when it comes to stock investing as a whole, and dividend investing especially. So next we have WDTE. We bought 2 shares at $42.18 a pop. They're currently trading at $42.06 a pop at a loss of 0.3%. Again, when I started filming, this was at 0.2%. So the market is moving right now. But even down, we're not down too bad. And we can see on the 1 month, we did take a dip, but their last dividend payment on the 10th was for 33.4 cents a share. And we own 2 shares of this one, so a pretty decent dividend even despite this dip. The 1 year chart, really impressive price-wise. It's gone from $33 up to $42 over the last year. Looks like it started trading roughly a year ago. So decent return. Again, I'm not seeing NAV erosion. These ones used to be monthly payers, and now they have switched to the weekly, so that might really impact. If we start seeing a lot of NAV erosion with these, I wouldn't be too happy. But some of the monthly payers have really bad NAV erosion too. So if it was going to have bad NAV erosion, I would kind of expect it to show more on the chart. But that being said, you never really know with these. So they are really speculative. I've said it a couple times. The Defiance funds I'm a lot less familiar with and a lot less comfortable with, even though I did invest, $300 into them. There's still a lot I need to learn about these ones. So I'm definitely interested in learning more, but it is a little bit, it's a lot of work to learn about all these different ETFs. So I'll trade, I'll watch them. Let me know what you guys think about the Defiance ETFs. I have some polls on the channel as well for those that are interested to try and get the opinion of other investors. And let's just jump back into our account. Now let's check out the YieldMax ETFs. And these ones have been performing well. And YMAG is actually my favorite. Oh my goodness. I've been trying to film the rest of this for a long time. The YieldMax funds. Everything's happening. I'm getting calls, blah, blah, blah. So the YieldMax funds. The YieldMax Universal Fund, this one owns all the other YieldMax funds, or at least a portion of them, I believe. It's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite. Kind of in the middle of the pack for me. So I bought $87.60 worth at 5 shares of $17.57 each, and it's down about 5 cents. So we're down about 0.3% so far. But they did pay out a nice dividend. If we go to the 1 month, they paid out 20 cents, 20.4 cents. And so what we'll be able to track as this challenge progresses is if it's a good dividend or a bad dividend. I could just look up the dividend histories, but I don't want the video to be too long. So we'll just track it in the account and see how they are paying out. But a pretty decent dividend. This one, again, these ones switched over to weekly dividends. So it did pay a little bit less than the one before and the one before and the one before. So it's in a downtrend of the dividend, unfortunately. But the longevity of this fund, it was at $15 at the start, and it's about $17.50 now. So nothing crazy, not crazy price return, but not crazy drop either. And we've seen some pretty insane dips as well. So maybe buying this one on the dip would be the best option. But at least since they've switched to dividends being weekly, it has continued to increase, which I think is great. Jumping into YMAG, the Magnificent Seven. This is they write calls, or is it synthetical? I can't remember the differences of each of these, but I know this Magnificent Seven is based off of Google, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Tesla. Oh my gosh. There's more. NVIDIA. Did I say them all? Was that 5 or 6? I don't know. That was a good amount of them on the Magnificent Seven. So they've used their strategy that they do on all the other funds on the Magnificent Seven, and it has performed well on the 1 month since, or I should say, their dividend paid out on October 10, 28 cents, which again was more than their October 3 by quite a good amount. But this one has been all over the place. A pretty phenomenal dividend, actually. If we go to the 1 year, really good price return, $15 up to 18, almost 19. So almost $1, maybe $2 more than YieldMax. And so I think this one's got some better potential. I love holding those larger blue chip companies. I don't hold them individually, but I hold them in ETFs. And they usually perform really, really well. And they're good at cycling in the new ones that come in just based off their market caps. So you kind of get some consistent active management. I forgot again to talk about the dividend yield of YieldMax. So I'll go back to that one, but the current dividend yield for YieldMax, 26.4%. I know it's a lot lower than the Defiance ones, but it is also important to note that this one is more consistent. We've seen more consistent returns, and for the assets under management, 160 million, not bad at all. And jumping back to YieldMax, a 30% dividend yield and more assets under management, which is surprising to me at almost 300 million. So very, very solid for both. Higher yield but worse price return, and vice versa for YieldMax. So both the YieldMax funds have been doing well, and I think since turning to weeklies, they've gotten a lot more attention. So it was probably a really good idea for YieldMax to do this. Now on to the RoundHill funds. Starting with QDTE, probably the most popular RoundHill fund. I think it is the largest. We can see our average cost of $42.32, and currently it's at $42.84. So this one is up 1.23%, which is phenomenal. I bought 2 shares. It's gained me $1. No complaints for QDTE. Largest assets under management, I think, of the entire account at 477 million and a dividend yield of 21.24%. They were at one time boasting a 60% yield. It was never realistic in my opinion, and we've seen consistent weekly dividends from all of these. So starting out at 36, bouncing around to the 20s, down to 19, which was pretty low, up to 50 in August. I think I owned it at that point, and that was a really good week. 25, 21, and now almost 27. So they have fallen a little bit. They're not at the 40s or 50s like they were, but I do want them to come back up. 27 is a good start, but it needs to continue to come back up. The price appreciation has been good, so I'm not really going to complain about this one. But on the month, yeah, bought 2 shares at 42.33, and now it's 42, almost 42.60. 42.60 in the after hours. So some decent price appreciation, nothing crazy. $5 on this size is not much. It's not bad by any means. I'm glad that I'm up, but I still think QDTE has more to grow. And again, I'm looking for the NAV erosion. I haven't seen it yet with these funds, but let's check out our next one, XDTE. This one probably is what I think most people have been commenting as the best one. And we can see that we bought $105.52 worth at $52.31 a share. It's at $52.76. We're up 0.86%, which is great, and 90 cents total. Assets under management really a lot less at 180 million for XDTE. We can see the dividend yield much lower at 13.34, but that's realistic. And I'm going to vent a little because you guys have to realize, and I'm not saying you guys, I'm sure a lot of you guys understand and you agree with me or you see it the same way I do. 13% is a really good yield. We have not seen 13% yields in like dividend investing like forever. And if it did, everyone called it a scam, because it's hard to do. If this were to trade sideways and yield me 13% every week, not every week, but every year paid out every week, I'd be pumped. I'd have zero problem with that. So I get people in the comments, oh, why don't you just buy the YieldMax MSTY? And I'm not saying MSTY is not a good fund, but if you think you're going to realistically get 100% return every year forever, I'm investing for the long haul. I don't like to swing trade. I like to invest for the long haul and make consistent returns. So 13% would be great. And if you get price appreciation on top of that, phenomenal. And so we have seen it since this thing was on the 5-day, I should say, from $50.80 to $52.70, up $2 That's on the full month, actually. If we go to the 1 year, we can see that they went from 45.50 up to 52.70. Some good price return as well. Again, I'm not seeing the NAV erosion, but I'm happy with this return. With the 52-week low being $44 and the 52-week high being $53, we're much closer to the high, and we've seen it continue to trend upward. I'm happy. If you're disappointed in the yield, I understand. If you were checking in with when the fund was yielding higher and it was 60% or 30 or 40% from XDTE, it wasn't really that high to begin with. I understand it, but let's be happy with what we got. At least that's my opinion. Let's go to our last one, venting over. We have RDTE. I just put out a video on making $100 every week with RDTE. I'll link that one at the end of this one if you're interested. It was pretty cool, pretty eye-opening. RDTE, the yield is going to be off with Mumu because it's only been trading for a little bit and only paid 3 dividends, but $2.27%. Really small asset under management of just 53.3 million. That's a ton of money, but comparison to the other funds, that's up much lower, and that does give it some good options for growth. On the 1 month, we can see it is up from 42.70 to 43.90. Not a lot of growth either. It jumped like 7% the first couple of days trading and has trailed off a little bit, but is now coming back up. We can see as soon as that dividend was paid, it started to climb back up. Dividend of $25. The first ones were better at 38, almost 39, and 36. So the yield has come down a little bit, but I'm still not complaining. If we can continue to pay out 25 cents a share for this one, I'd still be happy. It'd be a little bit less of a yield, but they're still predicting, or not they, I should say me. In my last RDTE video, based off the first 3 dividends, which might have been a little bit inflated at the beginning, it's still yielding roughly 40% a year, which is phenomenal. If it trades sideways, 40% is amazing. I'd put all my money into this if I was sure it was going to trade for that percentage every single year, that return. So again, no complaints. Let's jump into the dividend tracking spreadsheet I've made and see how these dividends have been compared to last week's, and just check out that. So let's jump right to it. It is definitely nothing pretty, but I'm proud of her. We can see our weekly dividend tracking. We have the first 3 Defiance ones did not pay out on the 7th, but they did pay out on, I put it as the 14th. That's when the dividends hit my account. So that's probably when I'll keep tracking, is when the dividends come into my account, not when they're declared, which is they were probably declared on the 10th or the 11th or 12th. So we can see last week QDTE were up this week in comparison at 54 cents. XDTE were down 6 cents compared to last week. And again, RDTE, this needs to say 2, and this shows that it's how many shares I have, 2 shares of RDTE. RDTE much lower from 77 cents to 50 cents, and YMAG up dramatically, 82 cents to $1.41, and YMAX $1.04 to $1.02. So nothing too crazy. And now we have IWMY, QQQI, and WDTE, all those ones plugged in. So the first week, because we were missing our first 3 funds, we only made $3.53 in payments. And this week we are at $6.83. And so when we actually compare, here's what we'll do. We're going to do, okay, we'll do a little math. We'll do this plus this equals this, and then we're going to drag this down, and this is going to give us our totals. So total paid out by QDTE, all the first Defiance funds are going to be the same. QDTE is paid 98 cents, XDTE 86 cents, RDTE $1.27, YMAG $2.23, and YMAX $2.06. So far, money-wise, the YieldMax funds are paying out better. I need to find a way. I'll calculate this to where it's a percentage, but still, those ones might be slept on. Let me know what you guys think if you're surprised by these returns, because I kind of am. I thought that probably XDTE would perform the best, but so far, payout-wise, YMAX and YMAG have been they've been doing it. They've been working on it. So again, I'll start putting in the percentages. We can track those from here on out and see how they compare. But I'm excited for this challenge. You guys have been so supportive with everything I've been doing, and I really can't thank you enough. I'm very, very happy with it. And I'll keep putting out videos. I'll probably do them every, Wednesday or Thursday of the week after the dividends are paid out. So stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an update. And drop a comment. Let me know which fund you're surprised by and which one you might even consider buying if you're interested. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.